Hello, welcome back to another episode of Muckin Around with Springbridge. I'm your host, Bethan, Office Manager at Springbridge Direct. Today we're joined by two incredible guests, John Payne from Paynes Turf and Tom Hawkins, Director of Springbridge Direct. With years of experience in the industry, John knows exactly what it takes to grow, harvest and deliver the perfect turf for any project. Today we're talking all about the processes behind production, the challenges of turf farming and what separates great turf from the rest. Welcome both of you.
Morning, Bethan. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. We'll start with you, John. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the turf farming industry?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was born into it. My dad started doing some turf, meadow turf in those days, sheep-fed meadows in 1971, which was the year I was born. So kind of been doing it, involved in it all of my life. And then, left school, went to college, and then came into the business with Dad, and then I think we seeded our first cultivated field, a 15-acre field, roughly, in 1987, right. I believe. And and then gradually, since then, we've got bigger. My brother's now in the business with me as well. We run the business together, and we've gone from 15 acres back then to 1,500 acres now.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and selling to you guys and lots of other customers all over Southern England.
What do you and your brother do, sort of, in the in the business? Like, what sort of roles do you do the same sort of roles?
No, not really. No, Stephen's more involved with production, and he manages that side, and then I'm more involved with harvest, distribution, sales.
Okay. Yeah.
So it works quite well. But then equally we can cover for each other.
Yeah, that's
We've
useful.
both got a good understanding of each other's roles and.
Yeah.
I think
and did he come into the business at the same time as you?
No, Stephen's a bit younger. He's younger than me, so.
Okay.
He's
behind,
got a bit more youth on his side.
And you've got the experience, the grey hairs.
yeah, 8 years extra stress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what about you, Tom? Obviously, we're a supplier of John's turf. How did you get started into supplying turf?
Well, we when we had the garden centre in Ealing, before I was before I really got into it when I was a child, when my dad started it, he noticed a demand in the area for turf. So he started basically looking for a supplier. Paynes Turf weren't actually our first turf supplier. We went through quite a few, funnily enough, before we found Paynes Turf. We started out quite, it was sort of handballing small quantities off of, small deliveries, and then it got sort of bigger and bigger as we got the crane lorries and, obviously the orders took off and everything else. The main reason I think why we started using Paynes was that they could guarantee us a delivery time. I remember we used to use another supplier, and we were quite a good customer of theirs, but a lot of the problem was the lorry used to arrive sometimes 9-10 o'clock in the morning, and where turf is a perishable product, it's just no good to the customer. So we used to have a lot of customers turning up at 8 o'clock to collect their turf, or sometimes we had our own lorries waiting for the turf to come in. The delivery would turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning. You'd lose 2 hours, and it put everyone under pressure to get the turf laid. We tried to counter that, and try and sort the problem out and getting hauliers and things. We couldn't do it. And then we spoke to John at the time. I mean, this is probably...
I think I called in and saw your mum.
That would have been,
over 20 years
20 years ago. Yeah. And you said, well, I think you were running your own lorries, and that was you said, well, look, I can guarantee to have this turf here when you open in the morning. And ever since then, I think, you could probably count on one hand in 20 years when that hasn't happened, which is quite an impressive, feat to complete.
Yeah.
And so that's why we did it. I mean, that's, and also the other, the quality and everything of the turf as well was also up to par, and, they're members of the Turf Growers Association and everything else. So, it was really a no-brainer for us to use them, and they've been our sole turf supplier. I mean, we've had a lot of other turf suppliers trying to sort of break into to get our business, and we just want to use Paynes because they've been very, very good to us. And we so that's the main reason why we use them.
It works well.
Yeah.
And the customer service at Paynes Turf as well. Obviously, we supply a lot of different materials, so we're not turf experts ourselves necessarily. But any questions we ever get from our customers, we pass them on to Paynes, and your office staff must be well clued up. They've always got perfect answer for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're used to helping people with any sort of technical questions or solutions they need to their jobs and projects.
And how would you say turf farming's changed over the last decade, like technology-wise? Is there anything that's changed?
Yeah, it has changed. It's changing all of the time. I mean, the machinery and the equipment is getting more accurate and higher output and more efficient.
Where do your machines sort of hail from? Are they, I mean, I think you mentioned to me once they were American.
No, they are. I mean, the harvesting machines are predominantly all really from America and Canada.
Okay.
We've got, Dad and I and Stephen, Dad and I went out to Montana when we bought our first automated machine back in 2001, I think it was, and then went to the factory and saw them where they made the machines. I mean, that was a game changer really, because we went from stacking turf by hand to it being completely automated.
So this machine that you currently use, is it a one-man operation?
Yes.
So somebody drives it, and it sort of slices the turf off of the slices it off the field, and then sort of rolls it into a roll and stacks it onto a pallet.
Yeah, I mean, it literally, there's it's got a reciprocating blade, and you set the roll size for square metre, which is how we sell our turf, and it comes up a conveyor, it rolls it, and then it picks them up, stacks them on the pallet, and it literally, on the move, it will drop a pallet and inject a new empty pallet without stopping.
Right.
And you can do a pallet of 80 square metres probably about every 2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes?
Yeah,
wow.
Like that.
That's quick.
Yeah.
And does it get affected by the weather and things as well? Like,
yeah, I mean, the weather's is in charge really. with what we do. It's
Can you cut in sort of really wet conditions or not? Or, I mean, I suppose a bit, but
yeah, you can. Yeah, and I mean, and then that's why soil type is so important. So this time of year we can harvest on the heavier soils, which are more of loamier soils. But in the wintertime we make sure we're on sandy, free draining soils, so we can still harvest, and no matter how much rain, it doesn't.
Oh,
really
so you engineer the production
Absolutely,
to that's clever. Yeah. So you deliberately make sure that the turf is ready on a certain type of soil at a certain point in the year, so that you can cut it. Yeah. I never thought that. That's pretty clever. Yeah.
We have to. Otherwise, we'd have periods of time. If we were some of the land we grow turf on is absolutely fine in the spring and the summer, but the winter time we wouldn't be able to harvest. It'd just be too wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before you had this this sort of one-man machine, what was the sort of, how did you do it before then?
Well, when I first left school, Dad had a walk behind cutter, and he folded all of the turf by hand and put them all on pallets
like
by
a sort
hand.
of a trolley type of
Well,
thing.
no, it's an old what you call a Ryan. We've still got one in the shed actually. We still use it for testing fields.
Okay.
But then it moved on to a hand stacking machine, which was kind of like the stepping stone between the very old school walk behind machine to where we are now, which was a machine mounted on a tractor, and then you stood on the back and stacked by hand onto a pallet. I mean, that was a big improvement on the walk behind.
Yeah, I should imagine.
Yeah. But then the automated machines have come along now, and
so
there's not many growers that are not using automated machines.
They had to open more gyms in the area, did they? So
yeah.
There's more.
It was good exercise. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a good exercise.
Yeah. What's the most surprising challenge, being in the turf business, both of you, that you have that probably people wouldn't expect? The most surprising challenge.
I mean, we touched on it just now, but I mean, without a doubt, it's the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just literally, it rules your decisions and how you daily operation almost. I mean, it's like now we're at the end of March. It's been exceptionally dry March, and we're irrigating now to harvest. Otherwise we can't harvest because the ground's too hard, and which is very unusual for this time of year to be irrigating now. And then equally, though, it could be very, very wet which then makes harvesting challenging at times, and it affects payloads. We can't always get on to mow the grass because it's too wet and it's been raining all day. So then sometimes we'll have to work through the weekend to get jobs done that we haven't managed to do during the week. Or equally, we'll be working long hours putting irrigation on because it's too dry. And also, as you go into the summer, it gets very hot. Turf doesn't, as you know, then we have to be mindful of the turf not keeping on the pallet.
Yeah.
So there's lots of aspects that we have to be really in tune with the weather. And
I think when it's very hot for us, obviously I think it's amazing how we notice it. I mean, when it gets cut when it's hot, the heat that's in the turf, and then you stack it in the pallet, and that heat just can't escape.
No.
And so it's like, so you have to like sort of
break the
pallet down and make sure that the air can get round it.
It makes a massive difference. Yeah. I mean, when it gets really hot, we do end up harvesting at night because we have to. We have to start, instead of harvesting during the day, we'll start harvesting just as it's getting dark, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then we'll keep going till midnight.
Yeah.
And
get the staff to
well,
do
they
that?
do. It's not always that easy, but we're very lucky. We've got a really good team, and they're all pretty flexible and passionate about it, like we are. Mostly. But yeah, you're right in what you say. We really, even if we've done that if it's very hot, even then you're delivering the turf the next morning. We just always encouraging customers to, first thing they do, if they're not going to lay the turf straight away, then break the pallet down.
And get the air around
get
it.
The heat out, because it's like a pallet of turf on a hot day is like a compost heap. It's heating up from the inside.
Yeah.
And basically, it's almost starting to decompose in a way.
Yeah.
But it's fine, long as you treat it right and you know how to treat it. I mean, there are limits. There are limits when you shouldn't be doing it if it's that hot.
Yeah.
Then it's best left. And I mean, there are occasions when we've had. We could have a day in the middle of the summer when the temperatures are mid-20s, and we'll have somebody ring up wanting to know if they can have 1,000 square metres the next day, and we'll just say no. I don't think you should do it, basically, because it's not wise.
Do you think the pressure on the customers that are trying to lay turf in these conditions, do you think they're just under pressure for deadlines and things like that?
They are at times, especially on site work.
They just don't want to delay the project.
Yeah, and also they've got to work, haven't they? They've got to, if that's what they do. They've got to do. Yeah. They've got to carry on.
They can't use their men somewhere else.
No, not always.
So,
and also very often the builders they're not interested in excuses about the weather. They just want a lawn. And I mean, sometimes we go back and replace the same lawn. We'll go and deliver to the same house.
Right. Yeah. Why? Because it's dead. Yeah. Because it's been rolled up.
It hasn't been watered enough, and it's.
Watering's very, that watering's like the key, isn't it? I think that's always what you've said to me for years. It's like as soon as you get it down, just water it. Water. Can you overwater turf? Obviously, but I mean, does it take a lot? Does it take what people think is the right amount of water is usually
not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah,
it's normally more. More water is needed, not less. Not as a rule.
Yeah, I mean. If you're laying turf onto dry soil, which often is the case this time of year now, especially at the moment, and when you put a sprinkler on the lawn, once you've laid it, you should be able to peel a roll up, and the soil should be wet underneath.
Right.
If it's not, then you've not. And to do that, you need the sprinkler in the same place for 15 minutes. I'd imagine.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It needs a good soaking.
And
then you don't want to be walking on it then.
No.
And isn't the time of day that you water it quite important as well? Especially
for sure. Really, in the ideal world, it's better to do it early in the morning or in the evening, because then you don't get so much evaporation. Because otherwise, if it's on a very hot day, a lot of it just goes straight up in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
And I suppose if it was a particularly wet season, would you need to water it, or would the weather just take care of it?
Absolutely. I mean, really, the great time to lay turf in a lot of ways. If you can manage to prepare the ground, then winter time is okay.
Is it? Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it is okay. I mean, often get people surprised that we harvest all year round, and unless the ground's frozen solid or there's snow on the ground, then we're supplying turf. And if you can lay it in the winter months and make a good enough job of preparing the where you're going to put the turf, then it actually establishes really well
Does
in
it?
the winter. And,
So it will grow and take roots and everything.
Yeah,
It's-
it will do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just very often the ground conditions don't allow
Right.
you to do it just because it's just too wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you talk us through the process of growing turf? So from turf to a finished full lawn.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, predominantly we see everything's obviously from seed, and that process. Ideally, we like to do all of our seeding in September and early October because that's the best time for establishment.
So the fields that you used, are they also that you grow the turf on? Are they used for
Other
all
crops.
any?
Crops.
So
Yeah,
all different farmers share the same fields.
Yeah, well, we own some land, but a large amount of our turf is grown on rented land, and we rent from neighbouring farms who mostly grow root crops and arable, but they're always looking for a break crop because it's always good on any farm to have a rotation, so you're not growing back to back. You can't grow back to back potatoes, and ideally not back to back cereals. So it's always good to have a good break crop, and turf actually is a really good break crop because it actually the turf, the roots are really good. They're very fibrous. They really help with the structure of the soil. So yeah, we're working on a rotation with local farms, which always works as well, where we tend to take the fields on after harvest, which tends to be August. So we'll plough, get all the land ploughed, then we'll go in and we level with power harrow machines, and then we stone bury.
So do you do this with tractors?
All of our own kit. We do the whole job ourselves.
Is it a big? Is it tractors with all different attachments on the back of it to do each various job?
Sort of 300 plus horsepower tractors down to 100 plus horsepower.
Right.
It's a bit of a military operation, to be honest.
How many tractors have you got?
My brother would be able to tell you better, but about 12.
Have you? Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're going all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, flat out.
Yeah. So plough it, level it, stone bury it. We have to de-stone, so we bury. It's like a rotavator that works backwards, and it buries the stones about 6 inches below the surface, all the big stones. So then, when you're harvesting in a predominantly a stone-free root zone,
Okay.
where the turf grows, and then we'll leave it alone then till March time, around about now or a bit earlier this year. Get fertiliser on.
Do you have problems with birds trying to take the seed and
We have
stuff?
all sorts of problems with different animals.
Okay.
The most surprising one at the moment, which has been quite stressful, is badgers, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been causing us quite a lot
Do
of
they
problems.
eat the seeds, do they? Or?
No, they just dig holes.
All right.
Yeah, and they're very difficult to keep out as well. So we've got an ongoing battle with badgers at the moment. But yeah, I mean, deer, not so much birds, to be honest. No, we don't have a lot of trouble with birds, and rabbits don't cause us an awful lot of trouble either, really. To be honest, it's mainly badgers and deer.
Just the badgers and the deer.
Deer just put hoof prints in it, and so we try and keep them off, and we just fence basically. We fence around, try and keep the badgers and the deer out.
And that, yeah.
Where we know we've got a problem, because it's expensive to do.
Well, to fence off the I mean, they're big fields, aren't they?
Yeah,
You wouldn't want to be fencing it too
we
much.
spend days in the winter fencing fields with armies of people.
Really?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So then in the spring, fertilising, and then we start mowing, herbicide to clean up any broadleaf weeds, and then really the secret of some rolling as well, and then lots of mowing. We're mowing with big high output mowers at 10.
Is that on the tractors as well?
On the tractors, and all the tractors have got GPS. Satellite navigation as well, so they once they're in the line, the whole field is mapped. So then you set the GPS up for the width of the mower on the back, and then you can set it so you've got like a very small overlap, even on a 10-metre wide mower.
Right.
And then you get to the end of a run, and then you drive around the headland, which is the edge of the field, and you're looking on the screen for the next grid line. You get onto the tractor lined up that line, you just hit a button and it steers the tractor down the field. You don't need to steer it.
Right.
All you have to do is turn it on the end. So that's been a bit of a game changer as well. We've had that for a while now, but that saves us quite a lot of time in obviously areas. We know we're maximising the widths of the machines. And
so do you have to cut the turf? Does that improve the quality of it by keep cutting it?
Mowing is the most important job
Is it?
you can do, really. I mean, we're mowing 2 to 3 times a week.
And what does it do? Does it strengthen the roots or something? What does it?
Well, obviously, because by mowing, if you don't mow, then the grass just grows long and thin and sparse. You don't encourage it to tiller, because mowing encourages the grass to tiller. So when it otherwise, all that happens is it just grows up and very thinly. But if you keep it nice and mowing it regularly, then it grows laterally, and then you get a nice thick sward, dense sward. So that's how you get that lovely velvet lawn that you just wouldn't ever get without regular mowing. And it's really important. Mowing is so then we're mowing 2 or 3 times a week. We've got hoovering machines that we use if we have to, big wide. They're like a big Dyson
to get rid of the the grass cuttings or something, is it?
Yes, yeah. So we hoover up grass mowings.
Yeah.
And then and then obviously irrigation, if needed as well, which tends to be the case. It usually is needed. I mean, for our weather now, it just seems to go in peaks and troughs. We seem to get long wet spells and long dry spells.
So do you have like big sprinkler type machines?
Yeah, big real irrigators. I mean, we use millions of gallons of water.
Really?
I mean, we spend some years we'll spend nearly as much on irrigation as we do on haulage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it could not,
blimey.
maybe not quite as extreme as that, but it's a significant part of our costs. So if we have a wet spring, we can save a lot of money on irrigation.
But then it makes it hard to cut the turf.
Yeah, and then also obviously it has an impact on sales.
Yeah,
so you can't have one without.
Yeah, you need like this sort of a fine balance between
that's right,
not enough and not too and too much water. Yeah. All right, and what about the seed mix that you use?
Yeah,
because have you sort of perfected that now?
No, I mean it's evolving all of the time, really. We only grow the one grade, which is a good all-round lawn mix for domestic use and for parks. We don't do much into sport these days, and but it's evolving all of the time, the seed mix, because the breeders and the seed suppliers are always breeding and developing new cultivars that are more disease tolerant or drought or disease resistant, drought tolerant and shade tolerant. So those and also better for close mowing, and so there's a lot that's continually evolving, but yeah, we do pick our seed mix.
So your seed mix is really would you say it's for the sort of residential market,
exactly.
Residential slash
the landscape amenity market,
like hard wearing but looks
exactly. You want something,
easy
you want something that's easy to maintain, durable as well. So in other words, you want something, you don't want to be something that you're scared to go on, because it as soon as you go near it damages it, because that could be the case if it's something that's very fine and more suited for a bowling green or something like that. You wouldn't lay that in a garden if you've got young children that want to play football and charge around on their bikes and play games and stuff. So you want something that's durable, easy to maintain, and has good drought tolerance, all lawns. But the good thing with lawns, as the TJ has promoted, they will in the summer months, if they do go brown and struggle, they'll come back, because it's tough old stuff.
Yeah.
You get some rain. Quite often it's better to let it go like that, rather than spend lots of money on water. And then in the autumn, when it starts to rain, they come back. And
yeah.
And you sell grass seed as well?
We do some.
Yeah.
Try to sell turf, but we do.
Yeah. Is the seed mix that you sell, is that the same mix that you use for your turf?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Would you ever do bespoke mixes if someone said they need?
Yeah, we can. We do source other seed, wildflower, that sort of thing, and shade tolerant as well.
Yeah.
And we have done.
Do you ever look at people at home? Because we often get the question like, should I turf it or should I seed my garden? And I always tell them to turf it, because, I mean, it's probably more expensive to buy the turf than it is the seed, but it must be quite difficult to actually get to grow your own seed from home. I mean, talking to you and what effort you put into actually getting the turf to the quality that it is and everything else, I sort of an amateur at home would surely struggle to get a decent lawn at the end of it, do you think? Or
I mean, I think it can be done at home. I think a lot of the time people tend to go for turf because it's instant.
Quick.
Whereas if you've got young children or family, you want to get out and enjoy the garden, then if you seed it, you're going to be. I mean, we most of the time our turf is 12 months old from start to finish. So and I mean, you can do it quicker. We can do it 8-10 months. But if you're going to seed a garden, you need to get it, as you just said, it's not necessarily that easy to do, and it's going to take a bit more time and effort as well. And you're going to be looking at a minimum 6 months before you can really go on there.
To use it, or even looks like a lawn.
And then it probably won't look as good as turf.
Yeah.
No, you're not going
and I guess, like I do look at it sometimes as well when people think they're saving money by seeding it because the seed is cheaper, but the amount of labour that they're going to have to put into that, I personally think, for me anyway, it wouldn't be worth. Like you can have the lawn down within a couple of weeks. It's usable with all the labour that you're going to put, with all the seed and everything that you're going to have to water it, and you're going to have to keep, as I say, keep the animals off it yourself and do all of that. It's going to make it quite an intense job for someone to do when you can just buy the turf ready to go and put down. That's how I see it. But I mean, some people might enjoy the process of doing it and get satisfaction out of growing their own lawn. So it depends on the person.
Do you think turf farming is more of a science or an art, or where do you think some turf growers might get it wrong?
I mean, it's definitely a science, I think, really, and it's all about timing.
Yeah.
And timing is crucial with everything we do, and catching the right, from seeding it at the right time of the year, and getting those first cuts in the spring, and lots of little things can make a big difference. And I think all the little attentions to detail are so important with what we do.
Well, just what you said earlier about picking the right field at the right time of year to cut, and
exactly.
Stuff like that. I mean, if you were a sort of a novice at farming, you certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't have thought of that, to be honest. But that's just you only know that once you've gone through the hardship of trying to cut the wrong type of soil at the wrong time of year, I suppose. So it's experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also it's one of those jobs that it is very much a way. It's never will be, and it's not a Monday to Friday job. Timing is so important, and if you haven't managed to get something done that needs doing, you have to finish it off on the weekend. And if the irrigation needs to go on the weekend, then it's got to be done, because otherwise,
I guess it's because it is farming, I suppose.
Yeah,
that's like
exactly.
it
is. It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Because my perception of it when I was, when I was younger, I saw it as kind of, I don't know why I did, but I saw it as kind of different to food farming for some reason, because it was turf and because it was for the garden. But actually, it is, it's basically this, it's the same process.
It is. I mean, we are quite different to what we do in terms of, because it's so intensive.
Yeah.
There aren't many crops most crops, what food crops, you'll plant it, and then you'll have limited operations on it really between then and harvesting. But whereas with the grass, we're on there 2 to 3 times a week. We're going over it with different machines.
That's true.
It's very intensive.
Yeah.
So that's where it differs to agriculture, and obviously it's high value as well. So it's
you mean the turf is what's high value?
Well, it's if you work out your area, what you're producing, you need to look after it and give it the attention it needs. Ultimately, that's what makes it into what it. So you're right though. I mean, at the end of the day, we use all the similar agricultural machinery, tractors, and I guess and the mowers are obviously where it changes. And
Once it sort of becomes more of a finished product.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, John, will you tell us what's the dirtiest secret in the turf industry?
I guess that would probably be. It might surprise you a little bit, but probably plastic netting.
Oh yes, I have heard of this before. Someone asked if you had it in yours, and you don't.
No, we don't.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't really know too much because I've never seen it.
And we don't use it, but it is used. Not everybody, but there are a few growers in the UK that do use it, and I know that the TGA, the Turf Growers Association, are actually banning it from the end of October next year. Yeah,
it's not very green.
It's not exactly. And in this day and age, plastic is just not. It's not something you want to be using in turf production. And what growers have been doing in the past is seeding a field, and then they'll unroll plastic net, which is like a very fine, almost like kind of like a very fine fishing net in a way, and they actually unroll it over the whole field, literally the whole field, big rolls of it, and then the grass grows up through the net.
Why would they do that?
Because then it means you can harvest the turf instead of waiting for it to be strong enough to hold together through normal natural rooting. The net gives it the strength, so you can harvest it much quicker. So you're saving money, but then you're selling something with plastic in it.
So it's cross between artificial grass and
well, I mean,
real
to
grass,
be honest,
I suppose.
I think it does break down in time, and it is meant to be biodegradable, the plastic, but I think it's still not. It's something that I think the industry is keen to move on from. And
on that about artificial grass, it is very popular at the moment. I mean, it's not very. I personally don't like it. I think it's. I know that we don't sell it. No, we don't sell it. And I find that the artificial grass, it never looks as good as the real grass. It to me, it's just not for me. But are you finding you're coming up against artificial grass when you're sort of quoting and that, or is it
not
just,
at all?
No, it's
got
not on
no
the radar.
fear, not on the radar at all.
That's good.
I mean, I think
that's good,
natural lawns. There are. I mean, what we don't. I don't fear it at all. But from a point of view of turf, I mean, it's you've got something that's it's a fantastic habitat for a multitude of bugs and insects. It's brilliant for water, for flood prevent, water for drainage, for it absorbs noise in urban areas. It's just a fantastic surface, isn't it? I think people take it for granted, and I think laying plastic in your garden, if you've got pets, it's unhygienic. You have to wash it off. It's I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's horrible.
Well,
stuff.
there's a house on my road actually, and they've put outside every house there's a bit of grass verge that part of the pavement, and as you go along, this one person has put artificial grass. They've replaced it, and it just looks awful. Like it's just like, so everybody's got lovely mowed grass outside their house, and then this one house right in the middle of the street's got this like slightly different shade of grass that's artificial, and so they don't have to mow it, and it just looks awful.
Looks wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't like it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it might work in a if you're in a flat or something, and you want to or if you were going to pave the area, but I don't think you can ever replace proper grass, to be honest.
And I think we're fortunate in this country as well, because I think people in Great Britain are quite passionate still, I think, about having a real lawn. The English always have a sort of a passion for gardens, don't they? They do. So I think we're quite fortunate in that respect. That it's still, I think it's a
green and luscious. Yeah. Was it the green and luscious land or something like that? Yeah, of England. Yeah, exactly. So and they want to keep that going. Yeah.
You say that about artificial turf in maybe like a flat or something, but we even had a lady, I think she buys about 2 rolls every year. It's for her, she lives in a flat, it's for her rabbit outside on the balcony. She buys real turf for that.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
John, how do you respond to people who say turf farming wastes water and resources?
Yeah, I mean, again, really, I mean, it's something, I just think we're producing something that really, to go back to our previous discussion, that's it's a natural product that's been taken into urban areas. It's excellent for absorbing carbon.
Yeah.
It's green all year round, absorbs carbon even in the middle of winter when lots of trees and deciduous plants haven't got leaves. It's great for preventing flooding. It absorbs sound. It's a brilliant habitat. So I mean, I don't really see that I think it's a really good green product.
Yeah. I think just my argument would be
better than paving.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And my argument would be
if you're gonna,
the turf that you're growing on your farm, if you were to say grow that in your garden, it's still going to need water. It's still going to need time to resource it. So what you've done really is you're doing it more efficiently.
Yeah, exactly,
so actually, if you didn't farm it and you let everybody grow their own grass at home, it's the same amount of water that would need to water all this stuff. It's just going to be John's doing it in a more, doing it in one place in a more efficient way. So if you want grass, you do need to water it, and you do need resources.
And if you instead have spent your money on a lawn and you've spent the same amount of money on a block paved area or a patio, then think about all of the energy and fuel that's gone into producing that, and then you've got something that doesn't do has no benefit to the environment whatsoever.
Paving, when you look at paving slabs, there's going to be a big hole in the ground where someone's dug out the sand and everything, exactly. Which all requires energy. So
and it's not a habitat for anything.
True. Yeah. So it's got to be better than the alternatives. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good point.
Obviously, we've just talked about plastic in the turf, which some people may use to help it grow faster or so that they can cut it quicker. Are there any other, without giving away your trade secrets, tips and tricks that you guys use to grow turf quicker or more luscious than a home DIY kit would be able to produce?
Yeah, I think it's just down to giving it everything it needs all of the time. We'll be that our turf, from the moment we seed it to when we harvest it, it gets everything it needs and wants pretty much all the time. So it's been regularly fed with fertilizers, it's been regularly watered, it's been regularly mowed, manicured basically. It's like it's grown with all of its needs covered, which you just don't in the real world. You wouldn't be able to do that, but we do that because that's what we do. And so I think it's tender loving care, I would say.
Yeah. Is there a common mistake that homeowners make when laying turf that?
Yeah. There are maybe there
more
are
than one, is there?
Yeah. One of them is that it's not laid quick enough. So I always say to people, it's really important to have the turf delivered on the day you're going to lay it.
Yeah.
Don't order it and then think, I'll have it delivered on Monday and I'll lay it on Thursday, because as you get into the warmer time of the year, it will be dead by then.
How long does? I know it changes from for the temperature does make a huge difference. But how long would you recommend someone? It is literally on the day, is it? Or if say the landscaper didn't turn up and they the turf was sitting on their drive, are they in big problems here?
No, now at the moment, if you could have it delivered today, could still lay it tomorrow. You maybe more likely still get away with the day after. But and in the winter time, it will keep quite happily on the pallet for 4 or 5 days. But as we go into the height of the summer and you get into May onwards, you really want to be laying it on the day of. So
is it a bit like food, putting it in the freezer compared to leaving it out on the side? It's going to go off a lot quicker. If it's in the freezer, it will last for ages. If it's
it will do.
So turf is just the same as that, really.
It is.
Oh, that's
yeah.
That's good.
So and then that's one aspect, and then also not watering it enough. As we touched on as well, it's just so important once it's laid. If it's hot and dry, even now it's dry, not as hot as it can be, but it's still hot. It's going to need watering and really keep watering it until it's rooted down and you can see it's growing. And then after that, the other mistake that's quite common is that it's lovely roots, it's growing and visibly growing well. You need to be on there once it's rooted down and you can see it started to grow. You want to make sure you get in there with the first cut, with the first mow, and then but don't take any more than a third off normally with the first cut.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
But regular mowing is so important, and it's so easy to let it get too long. And if you let it get too long, then you're blocking all the light into the base of the the sward. So then you go in, and if you let it get this long, and then you go in and hack it off short, you're going to end up with a brown lawn.
Right. Yeah.
Because because obviously we've been mowing it regularly every 2 to 3 days, or 25, 30 mil, and then all of a sudden it's been allowed to grow 6 inches long. Then it's not going to like that.
No.
And then you've got lots of hard work then to get it back to.
So just keep it just take a third off of the first one.
Yeah, little and often really is always good with mowing.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
Are there any reasons or instances that you've had to say that you're not able to supply turf? I suppose you just said about the weather.
Yeah,
when it's too hot.
not really. Only really the weather, really. Yeah. And like I say, if it's extreme heat, we will actively discourage people from, especially if it's a large area. If it's a small area, not so bad. It's easier to keep that alive with some water. But we wouldn't encourage customers to lay large areas on days of.
Have you ever had problems keeping up with the supply? When it's been very busy times of year.
Yeah, it can be challenging. That's the secret we're always, continuity of supply is
Well, you're
always,
kind of guessing what the demand's going to be in 12 months' time, because
exactly,
you don't know, do you?
No,
Like,
we're working. We're looking a year ahead all the time.
yeah,
I mean,
that's very hard to predict.
Touch wood, we've never run out, but we're always looking ahead, and trying to sort of ensure that we've got enough stock for the demand, and making sure we can sort of look after our existing.
On the flip side of that, can you, if you overproduce, can you sort of keep the turf going, or
you
not?
can, you can,
like, and till it,
you
but
can.
I suppose it costs money because you've got
Yeah,
to keep mowing
does.
it. Haven't you?
Yeah,
So-
exactly. I mean, it's better to kind of keep the production time down if we can. So I think if we can see that we're getting a bit overstocked and we just don't put so much in.
Right. Yeah.
And then
because I suppose just like any business, if you've got fields ready to be cut and you're keeping them going, that's effectively, you've got that in stock. But unlike most businesses, your stock costs money to keep, doesn't it? So you need to keep your stock in good condition. It's not like an iPhone sitting in a factory; it can stay there forever.
No, it's a living, growing.
Yeah.
Living, growing.
So you don't want to. You want some stock to sell, but you don't want to be like keeping too much stock, because it's a cost to you.
Ideally, we want to be always around that sort of 12 to 15 month age.
Yeah. Where everything you grow is going out, without running out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you have like multiple fields running at a time. On average, how many rolls of turf can you harvest from one field, or are they all different sizes?
Yeah, I mean, so they're all different sizes. I mean, modern day now we work in hectares. So there's 10,000 square meters in a hectare. And you'll have one field could be 10 hectares, another field can be 20 hectares.
Oh, okay.
They vary in shape.
Yeah.
And I wish they were all, if they were all square and flat, then the 10 hectares or 20 hectare size would be fantastic for us. But unfortunately, that's not the case. We have some fields that we really like and some that we're not so fond of. But but And
if someone was going to say they, for some reason, did half of their garden one week and then another half the next week, do they need to be worried about you switching fields or I mean
that can be something to be mindful of, because although we use the same seed mix all of the time, but with one field can be slightly different. It can differ from one end of the field to another to a certain extent, not massively, but it can do, just because with the type of soil that the grass is growing on and the conditions it's had, or when it was seeded. If one field was seeded, it's a little bit younger or a bit older. They can differ slightly. So if there's a big project, we will always
want to try and do it in one go.
Yeah, we'll try and make sure it all comes from the same place if we can. But I mean, normally you will find that once the turf's in situ in the garden where it's been laid, normally once it puts its roots down and it acclimatises to its new environment, it will all sort of be the same.
I mean, I guess it would be quite an unusual situation for someone to sort of do half of it and not bother with the other half of it.
Exactly,
You'd want to finish the job that you started anyway. So so that makes sense.
John, do you sell those extra large rolls of turf still?
Yeah, we do from time to time.
Yeah. Are there any advantages or disadvantages of using those?
I mean, there are both really. I mean, advantages are that if you're doing a really big area, it's better because you're not getting so many joints.
Yeah.
When we can sell a 20 square metre roll, so you've only got, instead of 20 rolls of conventional rolls, there's way less joints. So
is that the same machine?
No, it's a completely different machine. So that's and obviously if you've got the right kit, it's quicker as well to install. Tends to be on big projects, and we have done a few big jobs over the years where we've supplied big roll.
Yeah.
Tends to be that's more specialist. So the landscapers have got the right kit for actually being able to handle the big roll.
Yeah.
You need to be able to lay it the other side.
I mean, they weigh a big roll. One roll can sometimes weigh up to half a ton, so you can't
even lift it.
No, you can't. No, you can't just move it around by hand or anything like that. So you need the right kit to handle it. I mean, the disadvantages are that because of that, it is difficult to handle, and you need the right equipment, and also the ground conditions have to be dry for that. You can't start moving those big rolls around if it's too soft, because you're just going to sink.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is very specialist.
Yeah. I assume the landscapers prefer that because they get the job completed quicker. 'cause
Yeah,
the rolls
quicker,
are so
and
big.
it like I say, there's less joints, and it can, especially on big areas.
It would need to be quite a big area.
Yeah, sports fields and
it'd need to be a
parks,
big
that
area.
sort of thing.
Yeah. What's the wildest or most high stakes turf job that either of you have ever taken on?
Oh, we've
We
done.
did a job, didn't we, a few years back at Somerset House, didn't we, John? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
we
was
did.
that was a good one. Somerset House in central London. That was
That was
really
that was
good.
probably one of the most unusual ones we've done, because the whole of the courtyard of Somerset House was turned into a garden, wasn't
That's
it?
right. Yeah.
With your soil.
Yes,
wasn't it?
that's right.
Yeah,
it was. We
yeah.
put
And
the
then-
the soil in, and then you
and then our
guys cut the turf.
and
Yeah.
and so the whole of the
Right
courtyard was
together.
turf, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then there was an art display, wasn't it? Or
That's
it's
right.
an exhibition-
It was
art
like an
exhibition
exhibition when
with the flowers,
That's
porcelain.
right.
flowers.
Yeah. And that was quite a few years ago now. That was about probably 12, 14. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe 2012. We did that. I think to be honest, there's been so many. We've done like quite a few sort of, I think celebrities' gardens and things like that it's gone into, and even National Trust houses, and it's quite difficult to sort of pick one. We did. I think we may have supplied Kensington Palace Gardens as well at one point. I think we did do. I'm sure we did something into there. So that was sort of a royal, putting royalty going on it. So that was quite nice as well.
I mean, you normally find with all those kind of jobs, and this the logistics of actually getting the product there, that's normally the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it becomes can be quite involved
Yeah.
with
Just getting also even like security and
Yeah,
stuff, and
exactly,
getting the product into the site is probably
exactly.
harder than actually laying it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
there's a lot of eyes on it. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah.
So yeah, done a few interesting ones over the years.
Yeah. A huge thank you to John and Tom for sharing their insights on turf. I know I've learnt a lot. I hope you have too. If you're looking for turf for your next project, please check out Paynes Turf and Springbridge Direct. At Springbridge Direct, we currently have a turf promotion of 5% discount. Please contact our sales team for additional information. If you're interested in any future episodes, please subscribe. You can also leave a review or comment. Until next time.